you know that we're not supposed to use the word fat anymore? Whoops, shut my mouth. Anyway, so it was a little strange when this new study came out from the National Center for Health Statistics announcing that 1/3 of everybody in America is, okay, I won't say it, paunchy, obese, rotund, pot-bellied, oversized, elephantine, roly-poly, massive, gigantic, blubbery tubs of lard. There, that's better. Oh, almost forgot. I'm Joe Bob Briggs, and get out your barf bags, because we got one of the scariest movies we've ever shown here. Just the title alone is enough to make me hide under the covers for weeks. But I got to say it eventually. It's Look Who's Talking To. Horrifying, isn't it? And then after we've recovered from that, we'll watch Christopher Lambert wield a sword and pick up chicks for 400 years in the cult classic Highlander. Okay, listen to this. The official definition of being a land whale in America is 20% or more above your correct weight, which means we got a whole lot of flesh monsters that didn't get counted because they just missed the cutoff, right? Not only did they find out that there's like 80 million chunkmeisters out there, but it's getting worse every year. We have 31% more walk-in office buildings than we had 10 years ago. We got people up there in Missouri putting stress fractures in the foundations of their tract homes. You know what I mean? We got lard-ladling old people that spend $40,000 a year on the $6 all-you-can-eat Holiday Inn buffet dinner. And listen to this part of it. You know how it's always the men who are accused of being couch potatoes sitting around watching football, nursing their beer bellies? Turns out women are worse. Only 31% of the guys are overweight, but 35% of the gals. We might be couch potatoes, but some of these women have butts that look like squids seen through the glass at the aquarium, you know? And then the government tries to figure out why everybody is turning into cheese whoppers with arms, and their conclusion is low physical activity level. Well, no kidding, Mr. Surgeon General. We know that. Some of these people can't even see their feet without doing 3 hours on a Thighmaster first. But the funny thing was, the media tried to report this whole story without ever using the word. I think this might be why we have so many Aunt Jemima frozen waffle people out there, because nobody ever uses this word around them. Maybe what they really need is somebody to get in their face and say, "You're fat, man. You're like really, really fat." And maybe some of them would go, "Oh, okay, fat. Yeah, well, when you put it like that, and lose some weight." But if we don't ever say fat, they might just think their shoes are on too tight or something. Does this make sense to you? Well, anyway, speaking of stuff that doesn't make a lick of sense, even though last time I complained through the whole thing, TNT's making me show Look Who's Talking To Again, the pathetic sequel to the big box office hit starring John Travolta and Kirstie Alley as quarreling parents trying to deal with two little rugrats in the house, also starring the 2-foot-tall monster Lorne Sussman with Bruce Willis dubbing his voice. Absolutely no plot to get in the way of the story, so why don't we just eliminate some of the pain here and get right to it. We have close-up sperm microphotography, El Yucco, really. One training potty, one training potty song, 67 training potty jokes, liquid paper to the shoes, one rabid mother-in-law, multiple screaming matches, stuffed penguin mutilation, pants wetting, gratuitous Mel Brooks as the voice of Mr. Toilet Man, gratuitous Paul Schaefer, Kung Fu, Caesarean Fu, Syringe Fu, with Roseanne as the voice of Mikey's baby sister Julie, and Damon Wayans as the voice of Mikey's friend at the baby gym, Eddie. 0 stars. Sorry, I'll be here even if you're not. Roll it. I mean, you have to push me pretty dang hard to get me to utter those words, 0 stars. I mean, I didn't even give 0 stars to Super Beast. You know, I try to be a nice guy, but these programming guys, sometimes they just push. Just push me. We're exactly 23 minutes into this movie, and I'm already getting that gnawing feeling in the pit of my stomach, that feeling that says, run for your life. They made this 1 year after the original Look Who's Talking, which was supposed to be just a little movie, but anything with babies in it in the late 80s became a monster hit. Because, you know why? Women were dominoing like crazy. They were spitting out those rugrats faster than the maternity wards could deal with them. And so suddenly these cutesy family comedies, which you couldn't give away in the 70s, early 80s, film studios would kick you off the lot if you even suggested making one of these things. Suddenly these things are packing them in at the mall multiplex. The original Look Who's Talking was written and directed by Amy Heckerling, the gal who made Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and the sequel that we're watching now was written very fast, evidently, by her and her husband, Neil Israel, who's also a pretty well-known screenwriter. Now, I don't know if they have kids together, but apparently anything with the words potty, doo-doo, or poo-poo in it is hysterically funny to them. And so is the voice of Roseanne, who won an award for this performance, by the way. She won the 1991 Worst Actress Award from the Razzies, those anti-Oscar awards they give out every year in Hollywood. It's just something that doesn't feel right about the flick, like they didn't have a script, but they thought, oh, what the hell, who cares? Got to make the sequel. I'm a big Paul Schaefer fan, for example, but I hated that scene where he's the angry man in the cab. And what's the point of the scene anyhow? Okay, enough ranting. Let's calm down. Let's see if we can salvage something here. There's a few good comic moments. Let's get out a magnifying glass, see if we can find them, okay? Roll it. And did I see Olympia Dukakis in this movie? Olympia Dukakis turns up in the weirdest places. I like her, but she takes strange parts, you know. Did you know her regular job is running a theater in Montclair, New Jersey? She is #1 on that Montclair theater scene. Olympia Dukakis. Also the only Oscar-winning actress whose name sounds like a European basketball team. Mel Brooks as Mr. Toilet Man, because if you're going to do a whole lot of toilet jokes, you got to hire Mel Brooks, right? And that's Damon Wayans as the voice of Eddie, Mikey's streetwise friend on the playground. Damon Wayans, star of In Living Color, later star for the WB network, or is it the UPM network? Guys, one of those networks uses all the Wayans brothers. You know, every Wayans brother has his own show. Some of the Wayans brothers have their own night. They do 6 Wayans shows in a row, one right after the other. Okay, important trivia question. Who can name the Wayans brothers? All right, Keenan Ivory Wayans, everybody knows that, right? Damon Wayans, but you don't know the rest of them, do you? How about the Wayans sister, Kim Wayans? Then there's Sean Wayans. That's a tough one. And then who's the Wayans brother named after a method actor? Marlon Wayans. Yes, somebody got it. How can you forget him? Marlon is kind of the Zeppo Marx of the family. Okay, I think we've killed enough time to make it appear like this movie is going to go somewhere, so how about some more arguments between John Travolta and Kirstie Alley? That'd be fun, wouldn't it? Roll it. 2 Scientologists going at it. John Travolta, Kirstie Alley. Do Scientologists believe in arguing, though? I think so, because have you noticed the way they react if you say anything negative about them? Good grief. See, right now, I haven't even said anything negative yet about Scientology, have I? I haven't said anything negative. They're already thinking about writing me a letter, though. They're creating the computer file at this very moment. What's his name? Joe Bob Griggs? I don't think he likes Scientology. I'm writing him a letter. I love Scientology. L. Ron Hubbard, Dianetics. I especially like all those books he wrote after he was dead. Those were the best. Self-actualization, that's what and I know what that is. I understand it means, self-actualization, that means me, right? I'm actual, myself, actually selfish. It's like a religion of me. I get it. I get the whole thing. All right, look who's talking too. With Twink Kaplan as the nutty friend Rona. Great. Okay, why don't we read a little viewer mail? That would help us out. And here to help us out as usual is the lovely and talented TNT mail girl, Rusty. Welcome, Rusty. Rusty, do you like kids?
Yeah, actually I do like kids.
Well, I like kids too. I can talk to kids. What I don't like is parents who do nothing but talk about their kids. They do tell you stuff about potty training, you know? Kids don't talk about that. Kids don't tell you stuff about their parents all the time.
Is this movie upsetting you?
No. I'm okay. Just, if I ever decide to have kids, though, and you catch me talking like that, just slap me, okay?
Oh, unfortunately, TNT doesn't like slapping.
Well, no, they don't like men slapping women. But I don't think they'd mind if you slap me, so.
I don't know. I think they'd mind.
Well, then throw a glass of water in my face or something. But don't ever let me turn into one of those people, because I got to change the subject. You got a letter for me?
Yes, I do. It's from Brock of Pioneer Town, California.
Brock? From the Howling Seven? The big guy with the glasses who hangs out at the bar? You know, last week we had somebody else from Pioneer Town write in, but Brock himself wrote in?
Yes? Well, are you going to open it, or are you just going to hold it?
Hang on, I'm savoring this moment. Do you know what his famous line of the movie is, right? When they're out hunting the werewolf? We're wasting valuable drinking time. Yeah, Brock rocks. Okay, man, look, the address is General Delivery, Pioneer Town, California. That is great.
Well, read the letter already.
Okay, all right. Joe Bob, would you ask Rusty if she wants to go out for a drink with me? I know the nicest little saloon here in the desert. Cheers, Brock, Pioneer Town, California.
Isn't that sweet?
You've been asked out by Brock.
Next time I'm out your way, Brock, I will look you up and you can buy me that drink.
What do you mean, out your way? Nobody ever just happens to be in the neighborhood. This place is in the middle of the desert. And it's a very unpopular part of the desert. There are prairie dogs that can't find this place. You don't just happen to be out there. You know what you got to do if you go there, though.
Are you going to tell me?
I hope you know how to line dance. Because that's what they do in Pioneer Town. Remember that movie? Every 5 minutes.
I don't know how, but I'm sure Brock can teach me.
I'm sure he can. Yeah, I can see him out there now doing the tush push, you know. You've been asked out by Brock from the Howling Seven.
All right, okay already.
They're coming out of the woodwork. We're going to have to do a cast reunion here on the show. Hey, you guys, Brock asked out Rusty. She can have a date with Brock.
Do you want to get wet?
No. All right. Spoil all my fun, you know. Well, we're an hour into the movie now, so think of it like a 10K. We're over that big hill, and I think maybe they're going to actually start the plot now. So first, though, I think we need to run those pee-pee potty jokes into the ground a few more times. But anyway, after seeing this thing, it's hard to believe that they actually made a third one in 1993. Look Who's Talking Now. How could the series survive this one? That's what I want to know, even with John Travolta. Look Who's Talking is the movie that got John Travolta's career turned around, put him back on the road to superstardom, so that today he earns $15 million. Is that what he gets? And more than that even, every time he makes a movie. He made Look Who's Talking in 1989. Then he made this sequel in 1990. He married Kelly Preston in 1991, actually married her twice, because his first marriage by a French Scientologist minister was ruled invalid, and they had to do it over. And then their son was born in 92, and in 94 he was nominated for the Oscar for Pulp Fiction. And then he did a bunch of movies like Get Shorty, made Broken Arrow for John Woo, followed that up with Face Off. Now he's in every other thing that comes out. You know, everybody makes a big deal about how Hollywood turned its back on John Travolta in the 80s. That's not really true. He was offered the leads in Days of Heaven, American Gigolo, and An Officer and a Gentleman, but he turned all those roles down, and in every case, the role went to Richard Gere. Richard Gere was the guy you hired when you couldn't get Travolta. Can you believe that? Okay, let's watch the man work as Look Who's Talking To continues. Have you noticed this is one of those movies where they made it in Vancouver, but they want us to think that it's New York? Can't you tell immediately it's too damn clean? You know, just go down to 42nd Street where Disney is buying up all the property and cleaning it up. Nobody in the world is cleaner than Disney, right? If you want something clean, ask Disney to clean it, right? It's still not as clean as this movie. I mean, if something ever becomes clean in New York, it makes a New Yorker nervous. They don't like it, you know, so the New Yorker, he'll just knock over a trash can just to make himself feel better, you know? I'm surprised Amy Heckerling doesn't know this. She was born in New York. Life, John Travolta really is a pilot. You wouldn't know it from this movie, would you? But he flies all kinds of jet aircraft. In fact, about 5 years ago, he was flying a Gulfstream 2B, and he had total electrical failure, and he still landed that baby at Washington National Airport in icy conditions. Okay, Mommy and Daddy are back together because Mommy took a cab to the airport and went into hysterics in Daddy's cockpit. So, what's left for this movie? I have no idea, but let's find out so we can go home. Herewith the conclusion of Look Who's Talking To. John Travolta just doesn't dance enough anymore, does he? We think of him now as a serious actor, right? But he's really just a high school dropout hoofer, right? Like you catch Grease on cable and you go, why didn't Travolta put on those capezios and dance anymore? I mean, he did Saturday Night Fever, Staying Alive, Urban Cowboy, even did aerobics with Jamie Lee Curtis in that flick Perfect. Remember that? You know what, let's all write to John. Tell him we want more dance numbers, John. How many people would have gone to see Mad City if they threw in a John Travolta tap number? Still only 5 or 6, huh? I just see what I think I saw? Did they put a burglar and a fire in the last 6 minutes of that movie to make us think those kids were in danger? The whole plot of the movie is those 6 minutes, right? And then did they end the whole thing with Sonny and Cher's I Got You, Babe playing over the credits? Can we execute these people? All right, let's talk about anything else, please. And, next week is the start of Joe Bob Summer School. 8 weeks, I get to hold a pointer in my hand and pretend I know what I'm talking about. Last year's summer school was so popular, we almost did a spin-off, but Valerie Harper wasn't available, so we blew that off. Anyhow, next Saturday, we're featuring a couple of great westerns. High Plains Drifter, starring Clint Eastwood, and The Long Riders, starring everybody and his brother, literally. The Carradines, the Quaids, the Keaches, they're all in there, okay. Christopher Lambert is about to wander around for 450 years or so, changing nothing but his name and his haircut in the 1986 cult classic Highlander, which also stars Sean Connery as an even older guy who teaches Lambert how to keep his head on, literally. This is probably Sean Connery's, I used to say it was his strangest movie. It's actually his second strangest movie, the first being, of course, the cult favorite Zardoz. Anyhow, let's do the drive-in totals and get it started. We have 21 dead bodies, no breaths, 10 sword fights, 4 beheadings, 3 motor vehicle collisions, professional wrestling, sword tonsillectomy, sword appendectomy, knife to the stomach, medieval battle scene, Scottish Highland aardvarking, drunken dueling, self-destructing parking garage, self-destructing New York alley, gratuitous backflipping, immortal lightning foo. 3 stars, check it out, and we'll be here. You guys remember Zardoz, don't you? Zardoz? Come on. The gun is good, the penis is evil. Remember? That's the opening line, delivered by an actor named Niall Buggy. Definitely Sean Connery's strangest movie.